Commander Jalen Ward stepped off the shuttle ramp and felt the strange softness of Astrion soil absorb the weight of each bootstep. The surface looked like glass, but moved like warm sand. Everything on this alien world shimmered, as if made of quiet light. The air carried a faint echo like a song too low for humans to fully hear. Jalen kept his breathing slow. He was the lead human envoy, and he knew every movement he made was being watched closely. Astrions were peaceful, but they were also extremely careful. They disliked surprises, and humans were full of surprises. His escort, 2 tall Astrion guards with crystal armor, guided him through the entrance of the palace. It rose from the ground like a frozen wave. Every surface reflected glimmers of blue and silver. Jalen tried to hide his curiosity, but his eyes kept drifting upward. Today, he was supposed to meet the Astrion Queen for the first time. A week of diplomatic greetings, translation sessions, and cultural introductions had led to this moment. Humans wanted trade routes. Astrions wanted knowledge. Both sides wanted peace. But Jalen sensed something unusual beneath the calm surface of this mission. He had felt it since the first day. Something like tension, quiet, hidden, waiting. Inside the palace, the guards stopped. The taller one tapped the ground with a hollow metallic sound. A door unfolded like blooming petals, revealing the Queen's council chamber. Jalen steadied himself and walked in. The Queen stood at the far end, tall and elegant, with a chitin surface that reflected soft lavender colors. Her face, if it could be called that, held no mouth or nose, only 2 large, clear eyes that held reflections like moving water. She wore a mantle of glittering plates, arranged like feathers. As soon as she saw Jalen, the light on her body shifted. A gentle rose-pink glow spread across her chest and shoulders before fading. Jalen stopped mid-step. The Astraeon ministers around the room exchanged quick glances. A few whispered in their own language, their voices sounding like chimes. Jalen remembered the briefing. Color shifts are emotional signals. Pink means something. But the translation guide had no perfect human equivalent. Some said pink was shyness. Others said it was concern. Others believed it was something more complicated. The Queen raised a hand in greeting. "Welcome, Commander Ward of Terra." The translator device spoke in a smooth, artificial voice. Jalen bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. It's an honor." As he said the words, the Queen's glow returned. A deeper pink. Longer. Brighter. Very unusual. The council chamber fell silent, as if afraid to break the moment. Jalen felt every gaze in the room shift to him, observing how he reacted. He kept his expression calm, though confusion tugged at him. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "I hope everything is well." The Queen responded with her chime-like voice, but this time, she turned to her ministers before speaking. "Everything stands." The translator hesitated for a second, as if uncertain how to convert her words. Jalen noticed the delay. And he noticed the Queen's glow dim suddenly, then flash again. This time only on her right side. Another emotion. Another signal. But humans didn't know this one. The Queen looked at him with long, glassy eyes, then returned to her neutral color. "We welcome the knowledge you bring," she said. "And we hope this alliance will strengthen both our peoples." Jalen smiled politely. Humanity feels the same. But something inside him whispered, "She's trying to tell me something. I just can't understand it yet." The first week. The following days were filled with meetings, discussions, shared meals, long hours of translation, tours of Astrion cities that glowed like underwater reefs. Every moment felt peaceful. Almost too peaceful. But the Queen's strange behavior continued. On the second day, during a council debate on trade routes, she glanced at Jalen and glowed pink again, only for a few seconds, only when the ministers weren't looking. During a visit to the Hall of Echoes, where the walls sang when touched, Jalen caught her reflection glowing as he passed. On the 4th day, the glow turned softer, almost like a slow pulse. By the 6th day, It appeared nearly every time he entered a room. The human team noticed. The Astrion ministers noticed. And rumors began to spread quietly. But fast. Some thought the queen admired him. Some thought she was amused by humans. Some thought she simply enjoyed new experiences. But Jalen had a different sense. Something deeper. Something heavier. Her glow didn't look like joy. It looked like pressure. Like she was carrying a weight. And she only glowed when she looked at him. A strange conversation. On the 7th day, Jalen sat in a small communication chamber with 3 Astraeon diplomats. They were discussing energy exchange protocols. The talk was slow, careful, and tiring. Suddenly the door opened and the queen entered. The diplomats immediately stopped speaking and bowed. She walked past them without a word, her eyes fixed on Jalen. Her glow appeared again, this time brighter than ever before. The diplomats shifted uncomfortably. One of them quietly excused himself. The other 2 soon followed, leaving Jalen alone with the queen. The queen positioned herself only a few steps away. Her glow flickered, faded, returned, shifted in pattern. It looked almost like a message in Morse code, but far more elegant. "Commander Ward," she said at last, her voice calm but unusually soft. "Yes, Your Majesty? The paths of your people are not fully known to us. You are unpredictable." Jalen didn't deny it. "That is true. Humans do think differently from many species." The queen tilted her head slightly. "It is why this agreement is important, and why this week is difficult." The glow darkened to a deeper rose. "Difficult how?" Jalen asked gently. The queen paused. Her eyes glimmered, like they were reflecting something moving behind them. "There are threats," she said. "Threats to you?" he asked. "To all." The translator paused again, searching for words. The glow on her body changed again, this time sharp, like a warning flare. But before Jalen could ask more, the queen suddenly stepped back. The room's wall chimed, signaling a minister approaching. Her glow vanished instantly, replaced by neutral silver. Her posture straightened. Her voice grew formal. "We will speak again," she said. Then she left. Jalen stood there, feeling the strange echo of her unspoken message. Something was wrong. Something big. And for some reason, the queen believed he needed to know. Understanding the glow. That evening, Jalen sat alone in his guest quarters, reviewing the recordings. Each meeting was documented by the human team. Every flicker of color had been captured by their suits. He played one video again, day 5, in the Hall of Echoes. He watched the queen standing behind him, her glow faint but visible. He slowed the playback, paused, zoomed in. The glow wasn't random. It pulsed at intervals. 7 short flashes, 3 long, 4 medium, 3 long. A repeated sequence. Jalen stared, and his heartbeat quickened. He wasn't an expert in alien communication, but he knew patterns. Humans had found patterns in stars, weather, machine code, ancient ruins, anything. And this was a pattern, not emotion. A message. He spent hours mapping the pulses, studying them, comparing them across different videos. The pattern was always there when she glowed around him. Always the same hidden sequence. It was deliberate. He didn't know what it meant yet, but he knew one thing. The queen was trying to warn him. Warn him about what? A danger? A political threat? A hidden enemy? Jalen leaned back, eyes fixed on the screen. For a moment he imagined the queen standing in the shadows of her own palace, glowing in secret, trying to speak without anyone noticing. What could make a powerful ruler communicate only through hidden signals? Why him? Why now? Whatever the reason, something inside him said the truth was larger than diplomacy, larger than trade deals, larger than this fragile alliance. Something dangerous was moving in the dark corners of Astrion, and the queen was afraid to speak it out loud. The next morning, Commander Jalen Ward woke with a heavy mind. The Queen's hidden signals pulsed through his thoughts, like faint sparks he couldn't ignore. He couldn't stop thinking about the pattern he had found the night before the secret sequence of glows. Whatever it meant, it was urgent. He left his quarters and walked through the palace halls. The crystal walls reflected sunlight in thousands of directions, making him feel as if he were moving through light itself. Despite the beauty, Jalen's focus was on one question. What danger was the Queen trying to warn him about? He arrived at the council chamber early. Most Astrion ministers were already there, their crystal armor shimmering. Jalen's presence caused a few whispers. They had begun noticing the Queen's unusual behavior too. He quietly asked one of the senior ministers, a tall figure named Ilex, about the Queen's signals. Ilex, Jalen said, keeping his voice low. Is there anything I should know about threats to Astrion? Or threats that might involve humans? Ilex's eyes flickered with surprise. He glanced at the other ministers, then leaned closer. Commander, you see the Queen's glows. Yes? They are more than signals of feeling. She uses them for messages she cannot speak aloud. Jalen nodded. Yes, I noticed a pattern. She seems urgent. Ilex's expression darkened. You are correct. There are forces we do not fully control. They hide in the shadows, waiting. The Queen fears them. She cannot tell you openly, because to speak might give them notice. Jalen's heartbeat quickened. Who are they? The Obsidian Choir, Ilex whispered. They are spies, assassins, saboteurs. They hide among our people, and their goal is chaos. They want to weaken both Astrion and humans before we can form an alliance. Jalen's eyes narrowed. Why target humans? Ilex looked away, hesitant. Your people are unpredictable. That is their danger, and their power. The choir fears it. They hope to frame humans for an act we would never commit. The weight of this realization pressed down on Jalen. If the Queen had been warning him all week, it meant the threat was imminent. Human ingenuity at work. After the council meeting, Jalen returned to his quarters. He began preparing. The human mind thrived in uncertainty. Humans could improvise, change strategies in ways others could not predict. That was why he had been chosen for this mission. First, he reviewed all recordings of the Queen's signals. He tried to decode them further. He noticed subtle changes in brightness and pulse speed. The Queen wasn't just warning him, she was giving timing instructions. Next, he called his assistant, Lieutenant Syra Khatri, into the room. Syra, we need to map every exit, every hidden passage in this palace, and we need to find anyone who might help us from inside, someone not aligned with the choir. Syra nodded. I can start scanning the walls and vents. There may be pathways only Astrions know about, but we can track them. Jalen smiled faintly. That's why humans are different. Syra, we look at rules and think, how can we bend them without breaking them? Let's see what the choir doesn't expect. By midday, their work began. They reviewed palace blueprints, cross-referenced with security logs, and studied the flow of ministers and guards. They were looking for patterns in the predictable behavior of the choir. Humans were slow by alien standards in terms of precision, but fast in improvisation. By evening, Jalen had a plan forming. Use the Queen's signals as a guide. Exploit the choir's assumption that humans are naive, and prepare for a strike before the threat could act. The first warning. Late that night, the Queen's private chambers glimmered faintly across the palace halls. Jalen had been studying her signals again when a sudden alert came from Syra's scanner. Commander, Syra said, pointing at the display. Someone is moving inside the palace vents. Small, fast, and careful. Not a guard. It could be a member of the choir. Jalen's eyes narrowed. How many? 2. Possibly more, Syra said. He clenched his fists. The Queen's signals, which had seemed urgent before, now made sense. She had been tracking the same threat silently, trying to alert him without revealing the danger to anyone else. They followed the scanner, moving quietly through service corridors. Jalen noticed the elegance of the palace architecture. It had been designed for beauty and ceremony, not stealth or combat. But the Queen knew every inch, every hidden panel. As they neared a vent leading directly into the Queen's council room, Syra froze. "Commander, this is too close to her chambers. They might try something tonight." Jalen swallowed. "Then we prepare tonight. Humans improvise. Let's show them why." An unlikely alliance. The next morning, Jalen requested a private meeting with the Queen. Using the signals, he communicated understanding. The Queen's glow responded with a pattern he had never seen: long, bright, then short flickers. It was approval. Recognition. In the quiet of her chambers, she finally revealed more than she had dared in public. "The Obsidian Choir has infiltrated the highest levels," she said. Her chitin glimmered faintly under the soft light. "They plan to frame humans for an assassination attempt against me. If they succeed, war will ignite. Hundreds, possibly thousands, will die." Jalen took a deep breath. "Then we stop them. But we cannot fight like you do. We must use what humans are good at: unpredictable strategy, improvisation, bending rules without breaking them." The Queen's glow flickered sharply. It was a signal Jalen now understood: trust. "We must act in secret," she continued. "The choir watches everything. If they know we are aware, they will strike faster." Jalen nodded. "Then secrecy it is. We gather intelligence, disrupt their plans, and prevent the framing. Humans excel in chaos when it counts." The Queen's glow brightened. For the first time, it wasn't a warning. It was encouragement. The plan takes shape. Jalen and Syra spent the next hours assembling a plan. They would use hidden vents, minor security oversights, and human improvisation to identify the choir's agents. They would deploy nanodrones that could move through vents, cameras, and alcoves. They would feed false information to mislead the choir. Meanwhile, Jalen kept studying the Queen's signals. She had been blinking subtle hints about timing, locations, and risk levels. Using her guidance, they could act before the choir made a move. By the evening, the plan was ready. Syra looked at him nervously. "Commander, this is risky. If we fail, the Queen, if the choir succeeds, it's over for both our peoples." Jalen placed a hand on her shoulder. "That's why humans are here, Syra. To do what no one else can. We improvise, we adapt, and we survive. This is why the Queen reached out to me all week. We're the unexpected factor." Syra nodded. "Then let's make it count. First contact with the choir." The operation began that night. Jalen and Sarah navigated through hidden corridors, guided by the Queen's subtle signals. Their small, human-built drones scouted ahead. Through vents and passages, they glimpsed shadows moving with precision. Two choir agents passed near a chamber door, unaware of the sensors tracking their every move. Jalen whispered into his comm, "Syra, mark them. Wait for my signal. We cannot strike, yet they must expose themselves." Minutes passed. Then, the Queen's glow flared. A single long pulse, followed by 3 short ones. Jalen understood immediately. The exact moment had come. Using a combination of drones and human stealth tactics, they revealed the agents' identities. The agents froze, realizing too late that humans had outmaneuvered them. They tried to escape, but the palace's hidden corridors, mapped by human logic, left no route. Jalen and Syra intercepted them just before they could reach the Queen's private chambers. The choir agents were captured without harm, But their plan was foiled. The human ingenuity that Astrions had once doubted had succeeded. The Queen's glow filled the room, brighter than ever, a signal of relief and gratitude. For Jalen, the week of hidden warnings, strange colors, and silent communication had led to the first proof that humans were the unexpected allies Astrion needed. The next morning, Commander Jalen Ward felt the weight of the palace around him like a living thing. Every corridor, every reflective wall, every shadow seemed charged with possibility and danger. He and Lieutenant Syra Khatri had spent the night mapping every hidden passage and studying every movement of the Obsidian Choir agents they had captured. The Queen's glow had pulsed in the night, a signal that the immediate threat had been delayed but not gone. The choir was cunning, patient. They would strike again. Jalen walked through the Hall of Echoes, his boots making soft tapping sounds against the crystal floor. The hall was beautiful, but tonight its lighted walls reminded him of the eyes that could be watching. Then, as he approached the council chamber, the Queen appeared. She had dismissed the morning audience, her glow soft and almost invisible. But Jalen saw the familiar pattern flicker: long pulse, short pulse, medium pulse. It was a message. Follow her. He hesitated. Following a ruler alone in her own palace was unusual. But by now, he knew better than to question her signals. Humans thrived in unpredictability, and this was exactly that. A sudden summons. The Queen led him down a narrow passage few humans had seen. The walls shimmered, reflecting fragments of her light. Jalen noticed a subtle tension in the air, almost like it was holding its breath. At the end of the corridor, the Queen paused and placed a clawed hand on a panel. The door slid closed behind them with a quiet metallic hum. Locked. Jalen's pulse quickened. You brought me here. Alone? The Queen's glow flared brightly, warning, urgency, trust. She gestured for him to move closer. Her eyes reflected a mix of worry and determination. The Obsidian Choir is planning their next move, she said softly. Her voice was unlike the formal tones he was used to. It carried weight, secrecy, and unspoken urgency. Jalen nodded. I understand. You've been trying to tell me all week. The Queen's glow pulsed rapidly. This was not simply approval. It was confirmation. She had been tracking the movement of hidden enemies, warning him through the only language she could risk. A private warning. The chamber they entered was small, almost intimate, compared to the grandeur of the palace outside. Crystalline walls bent the light in shifting patterns, making it difficult to see exactly where shadows might hide. The Queen's glow brightened again. Long pulses, 3 short flickers. She was giving him timing, location, and priority. They plan to strike tonight, she whispered. 2 of their agents remain free. One aims for the council chamber. The other... She paused, a deeper pink spreading across her chitin. Approaches my private quarters. If we fail, everything collapses. Jalen studied her carefully. Every movement, every flicker of color, every pulse carried meaning. Humans had long relied on patterns, improvisation, and unpredictable strategy. This was exactly that. We stop them, he said simply. We humans act in the unpredictable way no one else expects. That's what makes us effective. Quote, the Queen's glow shifted a pattern he now understood as approval and trust. She stepped back slightly, giving him room. You must move quickly, she said. I cannot leave this chamber. If the choir suspects my absence, everything will be lost. Jalen's mind raced. He knew what had to be done. Using hidden passages, sensors, and improvised traps, he would intercept the agents before they reached their targets. The Queen had guided him, but now it was time for human ingenuity to take control. The chase begins. Jalen signaled to Syra through the comlink. Agents detected. 2 remaining. 1 near the council chamber, 1 near the Queen. We intercept quietly, No alarms unless necessary. Syra's voice was calm, but tense. Understood, Commander. I'm en route with drones. The first agent moved like a shadow. Silent, but calculated. Jalen followed the mapped passages, keeping to the blind spots the Queen had helped him identify through her signals. His drone scouts found the second agent, moving stealthily toward the Queen's chamber. Jalen studied the path. The agent was fast, but humans had improvisation on their side. Using minor vents and unexpected approaches, he could cut off the path without direct confrontation. He whispered into the comm. Syra, set up the drones in the side vent near the chamber. Create a false trail for them to follow. The drones moved silently. Lights flickered in patterns, suggesting the passage was clear, drawing the agent into a trap. The trap works. Minutes later, the second agent entered the vent. The agent paused, sensing something wrong. But before they could act, Jalen triggered a small sonic pulse, not harmful, just disorienting. The agent froze. Jalen moved through the hidden corridor and stepped into view. Step out slowly. No one needs to get hurt. The agent hesitated, then complied. Jalen secured them. Meanwhile, the first agent reached the council chamber, unaware of the human intervention. Jalen redirected Syra's drones to block all exits, her sensors guiding him. Within minutes, both agents were captured without a single alarm. The palace remained calm. The council believed the night would pass quietly. Only Jalen and Syra knew how close they had come to disaster. Trust earned. Returning to the Queen's chamber, Jalen released a sigh. The glow on the Queen's body brightened dramatically. Relief, gratitude, and recognition. You succeeded, she said softly. The threat is delayed, but not gone. The choir is cunning. They plan patiently, wait for errors. Your people, your methods, are unusual, but effective. Jalen smiled faintly. We humans rely on unpredictability. We see solutions where others see only rules. You guided me. The rest was improvisation. The Queen's glow flickered rapidly, a new signal he now understood. Respect and trust. She stepped closer. You understand us better than anyone else from Terra. That is why you are here. Wise no. Wise no. That is why I warned you in secret. That is why. She paused, her glow shifting to a bright rose. You must remain vigilant. Jalen nodded. I understand. And we will be ready. The calm before the storm. After the agents were secured, Jalen spent the remainder of the night reviewing palace blueprints and drone placements. Every corridor, every hidden panel, every reflective surface was mapped and analyzed. He knew the choir had not been eliminated, they had been delayed. They were clever, patient, and ruthless. But humans had something no one else did. Improvisation, unpredictability, and courage under pressure. The Queen's signals continued to guide him, subtle but meaningful. She could not act openly, but her trust in humans was clear. For the first time, Jalen realized that this alliance was not just about trade, peace, or diplomacy. It was about survival. About proving that humans could act decisively in ways no other species could anticipate. The palace seemed quiet. Too quiet. Jalen knew better than to relax. The obsidian choir was patient. They would strike again. But for now, humanity had shown its strength, and the Queen had shown her trust. Jalen sat quietly, reviewing the sequences of light, memorizing the patterns. Soon, the next move would come. Soon, the final confrontation would arrive. And humans would be ready. The palace of Astraeon was quiet as night fell. But the calm was only a mask. Commander Jalen Ward knew the obsidian choir had not given up. They had patience, cunning, and a plan to strike again. But he also knew something else. Humans could think in ways no one expected. The Queen's glow pulsed faintly in her private chamber, a soft rose signaling trust and urgency. She had spent the week guiding him through light patterns, warning him of threats that no words could safely convey. Tonight, she would need that guidance more than ever. Jalen reviewed the palace maps one last time. Every corridor, vent, and reflective surface had been analyzed. Every exit was covered by a combination of human drones and Astraeon security. But the key to success wasn't technology. It was strategy, improvisation, and timing. Syra Khatri, his lieutenant, joined him. "Commander, all drones are in place. Agents captured earlier are secured. The palace is quiet, but I have a feeling it won't stay that way." Jalen nodded. "Quiet now, chaos soon. That's when humans shine." The final threat. Just as the hour struck midnight, the first sign appeared. A shadow moved across a reflective wall in the council chamber. One of the Obsidian Choir agents had freed themselves from a minor lock the humans had overlooked. Another moved through hidden vents near the Queen's private quarters. Jalen's sensors alerted him instantly. "Syra, deploy the drones to intercept the vent agent. I'll handle the one in the council chamber. We cannot let them reach their targets." Syra's drones moved like a silent swarm, blocking corridors and guiding the vent agent toward a contained area. Jalen, meanwhile, navigated the council chamber with human improvisation. He used light reflections from crystal walls to confuse the agent, making it impossible to predict his movement. The agent tried to attack, expecting predictable defense protocols, but Jalen was unpredictable. He forced the agent to retreat step by step, cornering them with careful maneuvers. Within moments, the first agent was neutralized without harm. Human ingenuity in action. Meanwhile, the vent agent was struggling against Syra's drones. They were tiny, human-made machines, but they moved with precision and coordination beyond anything the choir expected. Jalen communicated with Syra through subtle hand signals. "Keep them contained. Redirect the pressure vents to slow their movements. Make them think the escape is still possible." Syra nodded, adjusting the drones. The vent agent panicked slightly, trapped by a network of unseen machines. Human improvisation had turned the palace's own architecture into a tool of defense. Finally, the agent was captured, unable to escape the labyrinth of human-engineered pathways and drones. For the first time that night, Jalen allowed himself a small smile. The humans had done what aliens could not: anticipate, adapt, and outthink enemies in real time. The Queen's recognition. The Queen's glow lit the private chamber as Jalen and Sarah returned. Long pulses, 3 short flares, and a final bright flash filled the room, a language of light Jalen now fully understood. "You have done what few could," she said softly. Her voice was calm, but full of emotion. "You, humans, are unpredictable. You think, adapt, and act where others hesitate. That is why I trusted you. That is why I signaled you in secret. That is why our alliance must endure." Jalen bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, humans act when logic meets courage. Your guidance gave us the timing. We filled the gaps no one else could reach." Her glow intensified pride, relief, and approval. It was a language of light he now read as clearly as any translator device. "You are not just allies," she said. "You are the factor we did not expect. You are humans." Aftermath. The next morning, the palace appeared peaceful. Ministers returned to their routines. The captured choir agents were safely contained, awaiting interrogation by Astraeon authorities. To the outside world, it seemed as if nothing had happened. But inside the Queen's private chamber, a new respect had formed. Humans had proven their value, not just in diplomacy, but in action, strategy, and trust. Jalen and Syra were summoned for a formal audience. The council gathered. All eyes on the humans, who had prevented disaster. The queen entered, her glow now a steady, proud silver with subtle rose highlights a signal of trust, approval, and victory. Citizens of Astrion, she said, her translator rendering the message into human language. These humans have acted in ways we did not anticipate. They have proven themselves capable of judgment, improvisation, and courage. They have protected this palace, this alliance, and all of us from the Obsidian Choir. They are our first, unscripted allies. Whispers spread through the chamber. Many had doubted humans before. Now, every movement, every choice made by Jalen and his team showed that humans were different, resourceful, and worthy of trust. A human victory. Later, alone with the Queen, Jalen reflected on the events. Your Majesty, the threat is delayed, but not gone. The choir will try again, but they now know humans are unpredictable. The Queen's glow pulsed gently. Yes, and that unpredictability is a strength. It is why I warned you in secret. It is why I trusted you above others. Humans do not follow scripts. Humans improvise. And in doing so, you saved lives that many would have thought impossible to protect. Jalen smiled. We act where others hesitate. That is what humans do. That is why you needed us. The Queen tilted her head. And now, humanity is a part of our story. Your people are respected. Your ingenuity is celebrated. And your courage is remembered. It was an extraordinary recognition. Not through ceremony alone, not through titles, but through action, proof, and survival. The bond strengthens. The days that followed saw renewed cooperation. Humans were invited to contribute ideas for palace security. The Queen encouraged shared workshops where human improvisation met Astrion precision. Jalen watched as humans and Astrions learned from each other. Humans learned to think in precise, calculated ways. Astrions learned to embrace unexpected strategies. Most importantly, the Queen's signals no longer carried urgency. They flickered occasionally, a subtle pink or silver, a gentle reminder that trust had been earned. Jalen understood. This was the heart of the alliance. Not just diplomacy, not just trade, but mutual respect, trust, and the recognition of what each species brought to the table. Final reflection. As Jalen walked through the Hall of Echoes one last time before returning to the human shuttle, he thought about the week that had passed. The Queen had signaled him in secret, warning of danger no human translator could convey. The Obsidian Choir had tested their patience, precision, and cunning. And yet, humans had succeeded through imagination, unpredictability, and courage. It was a moment that would be remembered on both worlds. Humans had proven themselves worthy allies. They had acted where others might have failed. They had adapted, survived, and triumphed. And the Queen? Her glow shone softly in the crystal corridors, as if the palace itself celebrated the outcome. For the first time, Jalen understood completely what her blushes had meant all week. It was not fear. It was trust. It was hope. It was recognition of what humans could do. As he boarded the shuttle, he felt a quiet pride. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through power alone, but through mind, courage, and heart. And in the distance, the palace shimmered with light. A silent beacon to the galaxy. Humans were here, and they were capable of the impossible.